कृपया ध्यान दीजिए. The language used on the podcast may not be fit for consumption. We warn you, tread carefully. But listen, yaar, don't be so conservative.
Guys, the congratulations are coming in. It's so embarrassing for me. Johnny Depp and Amber Heard both calling to say, wow, well done, 1,000 episodes of this show, whatever it's called. They couldn't remember the name. So just, the love is too much. It's overwhelming. And I had to think, let me go back in time and figure out where did this journey begin of India's most famous and greatest artist, namely myself. And then I realized it goes back to when I'm about 14. And I went for an audition for an English play. To cut a long story short, Raëll Padamsee, iconic director, decided, okay, this kid is ugly, stupid, young, and the only 14-year-old who turned up, everybody else was 18. So cast me by mistake, and that's why we have a podcast running 1,000 episodes. It goes back to her, and her progeny played a very important role in that as well. Raëll Padamsee, who now holds the flag. Pearl is unfortunately no more with us, but in a sense, always with us. And Raëll keeps calling me every day and saying, I want some publicity for myself. And the only place which can really help me grow as a person and as an entrepreneur is Cyrus Says. Feature me on Cyrus Says. Money was sent, guys. I cannot lie. Money was sent. I sent it back because I love the family. I said, I don't want all this. Anything for you, Raëll. So here she is, ladies and gentlemen, in the flesh, Raëll Padamsee herself. Hi, Raëll. I hope you didn't hear anything I
Hi,
said so
Sai.
far. Yeah.
All lies, all lies. I have to tell everyone, all lies. But congratulations, how awesome or not. But we knew from then that you are it. You are the real thing.
Wow. Okay, there's a bit of an echo happening in the speech. I would not be the one to correct the speech and drama queen herself, so I'll leave it for now. But we have to talk about so many things, and we have very little time. I want to get a little bit into the past as well about how you started, the early days, etc. But I think because of the problem with time, we'll start with where we are now, which is just post-pandemic,
Okay.
and how you coped with it. Because we've spoken to, maybe I think, Kunal Kapoor. We've spoken to not too many people from the theater world and how they sort of suffered, and as the entrepreneur, how you have to hold it together for so many people who depend on you financially, and from a point of view of just what to do with their lives. And even then, people like me, young kids who try to get into the theater, for 2 years we were in a coma. So how will you produce the next Kunal Vijaykar or Baman Irani, or you can't produce another Cyrus Brocha? That that's not going to happen. But anybody else. So let's go back and discuss that, because right now you're back with the normal process, the summer funk class. No, what is it? What's it called? The summer workshops.
No, we're doing our speech and drama and act on stage. This is all year round. We're doing the all year round ones. We finished all the summer workshops. During the pandemic, it was really crazy. Sai, as you know, everyone was really struggling, and it was a terrible situation for the kids, especially. As you know, they were all at home, all housebound, no going out, no access to anything that was live and creative and expansive in that way. So we went digital really quick. We translated all our workshops, all our theater workshops into actual digital workshops and online workshops. And they worked so well because we included technology into it. We did a lot of different experimentation. And the kids were really ecstatic because they really wanted that kind of connect with other children, the creativity that they wanted with the other children. And of course, a chance to project themselves, to perform, because we had online performances for them. So it was really great. And then coming out of this pandemic, when everyone went back to school, we started all our offline ones. So that's where we're at the moment. But just going back, not a couple of years, but many years, we started this together, if you remember, the Little Actors Club. Do you remember, JB Pettit?
Yes,
School,
yes.
with
I can't.
mom, you
Don't.
and me.
Yes, but don't tell anyone when we started, because that dates me very badly. But you're right, in a sense. I mean, I may be mistaken, but I'm saying pan India in all languages. I don't know if there was a school which was essentially just for speech and drama, like a separate academy for children before that. So as far as my living memory, there wasn't. And please don't Google it like morons and just point out that somewhere in Bhubaneswar there was, because nobody cares to know this information. But so you were the pioneers.
No, we did
Uh,
start it. We did kick it off, Sai. And there was no such thing as workshops before that. We
yeah,
started up the workshop
that's why the actors
situation
are
with children
horrible
coming
up to
in.
the 90s. Sorry, go on, go on.
Huh?
I'm just being silly. Carry on, carry on. Yeah.
You're mad.
Huh.
No, no. So we did this, and we had children coming in from all over the city, and they were traveling for 2 hours just to get to the workshops, which is when we said, forget it, we just expand and open up centers all over. So kids could really, avail of the actual course and not spend so much time traveling. So anyway, cut back to now. Now there's so much wonderful stuff happening. Really, we're doing all things theater really, and for adults, children, the works. We feel that this point post the pandemic, it's so important for people to get back into a positive space, into a space where they feel good about themselves. So we, of course, focus on the three C's, which is confidence, communication, and creativity. And that is
And COVID.
across the board.
And
So whether
COVID.
it's
Oh,
kids,
no, no, no. Huh.
no,
Sorry.
COVID is anti-COVID.
Yeah.
So we
That'll be
only
four
have
C's.
these three, and we figured that the children and adults and corporates all want a piece of the pie because they're all going through a huge amount of psychological upheaval thanks to whatever we've all been through. So, keeping that in mind, we've designed really, really very interactive and great positivity building courses for them across the board. So, even for the adults, we have a de stress with drama. For the
So that's an
corporates,
interesting point because people think because you've got this whole chap of being the children's workshop and dealing with children and schools etc. They don't realize that actually it's not a age bound activity ever, and it's therapeutic for all ages. I think even when we rehearse and stuff. I mean, Silvery will join us later. He's also a bit of an actor himself, and he tells us that he feels so much more relieved. It's like he's gone to the toilet or something after he does a performance because apparently every evening on the terrace in Powai,
not
somewhere in Raheja
not
Towers, he and
quite.
his friends do some sort of dance for the society to make it a better world. But so I think we got this a lot about. I did a few online shows which did help people where the corporates said speak to them, sort of more like motivational, positive reinforcement, exactly what you said, Thingy.
Yeah,
And then I was thinking maybe that was the right way to go. I didn't think of it then, but a lot of adults need to express themselves. There's a lot of pent up emotion, pent up sort of angst or feeling of what's happen, helplessness, and all that can come out when you do performance based stuff. This is why I essentially
absolutely.
don't teach children because I tend to smack them around a lot. For me, that's a release, and that's not good.
Right. But absolutely, we've done a lot of corporate workshops and we found that not only the whole idea of performance, they also meet people who are like minded in a space which is totally non judgmental. It's, because when you're in a corporate setup, everybody's assessing you, looking at you, figuring out, is he really good for the job? Is he going to be able to deliver? Here, this is totally non stressed. This is something that you take home, and the people who've actually done the workshop keep telling us, listen, we want to do the next one and the next one because obviously it brought something to the table
You
for
know,
them in terms
I
of
just
expression, self-expression.
I just thought of exactly what you said. I'm just thinking out aloud for a second. The fact that you're in the pressure of the corporate world, plus you're stuck at home and still trying to meet targets and turn things around, which is double difficult in terms of the pressure the guys go or girl is going through. And then you're thinking, but they have to be so correct and perform between the lines all the time, which is really something which drives people nuts. So the fact that you say, okay, let's not have lines for a little while, and I'm not saying they're regressing, but it's just giving them that freedom of expression where they sort of can just express themselves in a more open manner. That alone is so freeing. I think the whole country should indulge in that
Absolutely.
20 minutes a day. And of course, I don't mean in a sexual manner because that sounded
No,
wrong
no,
the minute I said it.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. I think it's very important. We've been doing this for the teachers in the schools as well. We've been doing this across the board because I think they've had it the worst because they've had to really, really step up to the plate. They've had to relearn their whole, functioning of teaching, etc. Dealing with children
What
who have
about,
issues, psychological problems. So we
well,
really
sorry,
do this across the board.
what about teachers? We forgot about them also in the middle. We talked about corporate world, the stress, etc. But the teacher stress it was also a little. I mean, I really don't have any idea what
Too
they've gone
much,
through. So how do you deal with
too
them?
much. Too much, Cyrus. It was too much. So we offered as a service to all schools that we work with and schools that we don't work with as well. Complimentary session for all the teachers to have a de-stress with drama program for especially for them. So we did it school wise and they were just blown away because they said this is really, really what we need. We've been wound up so tight. And again, teachers have to conform. They can't do whatever they want, they're
I
role
know.
models for their kids. So this
That's
was
why you
again
sacked
a
me. I was
space where they
teacher
were.
at Little Actors Club, and you fired me because didn't conform. I refused. I refused to wear clothes, for example, which apparently was
I
wrong.
wonder why.
Yeah,
I wonder
with little,
why.
with little
That's
children.
true.
Okay, yeah. Sorry. Oops.
But Sai, another good thing, which is this is related to you also, is that we just tied up with, obviously we had tied up earlier with the Lee Strasberg School in New York.
Right.
Remember?
Yeah.
For you met them when they came down, when we brought them down. So we had tied up with them for the adult workshops online. And this is the god of theater himself, Lee Strasberg. So we're going to be doing
Although
Zoom
let me just point
sessions
out,
with
Lee
them.
Strauss, but he's dead. Just to be clear, in case somebody joins and
That's
says, "Where's
true.
Lee?" Lee dead, but his legacy lives on. Yeah. Sorry. Go on.
His legacy does live on. And he was, the actor's studio and the group theater and all that. And you studied there, so you know all of the good stuff that you do, and the bad is probably, related somewhere along the line. But that's a very exciting thing for us. So we're in talks with them, to do online stuff with them as well. So it's really been my focus for this year is seriously all things theater. So whether it's to do with the kids, the adults, the young adults, 15 to 20, they are having a very, very tough time reorganizing their lives, reorganizing back to their social scene after being, stuck at home for
And
so
missing
long.
out of
So it's
two
across the board.
missing out 2 years almost of being a teenager in that bracket, young romances, young socialization. I mean, for me and Kunal, that
Absolutely.
was in the 40s, but for most people, it's 15 to 20, as you said. So I think that was very cruel. I felt really bad. My own son, other kids, my daughter, their birthdays being celebrated with us. I mean, on your 14th
I
birthday
know.
and your 18th birthday at home with your parents, for God's sake. I mean, that's the last thing you want to see. Um, Before we
I
go on,
know.
I just
I know.
wanted
So
to,
there's
do
a
you
lot.
remember? Do you remember when you started the Little Actors Club in the early years? There was this girl who used to chase me all over and said, "Master, teach me, teach me." And then she became a famous actress. I think her name is Alia Bhatt or something. Do you remember that? Because now when I say hello to her, she's like driver Gadi Lao and all that. I just feel the relationship has not gone the way it should have. She should not speak to me like that. Will
True,
you have a
true,
word with her mother? Punish her, Raëll.
true, true,
You're
true.
saying
There's so
no?
many of them actually who've been through our
Yeah,
courses.
you have a few
It's
famous
amazing.
names. Who else? Give me a couple more.
Across the board, actually, a lot of the kids have been through with us on and off. I can't recall right now, but definitely Alia was one of them. Tara Sutaria, of course, was in Greece with us. That was her first exposure to musical theater on a big scale. I mean, of course, she's a brilliant singer. And there was, of course, Tane Chadda, who was in Slumdog Millionaire. They won the Oscars. They routed the Oscars over there. So there are lots of them across the board. But coming back to what we were
Ranveer
talking
Singh.
about the
Ranveer Singh's first photograph was with you, if I
what
remember right. The
rubbish.
first set of photographs. No, not
No,
true.
no,
Okay, all right.
no.
Sorry, I'll clear that up
We lose
later.
that one for now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So listen,
Okay.
so I was saying,
Yeah.
across the board, age-wise, so we realize, Cyrus, that children who were born 2.5 years ago have never seen anything of school and never seen anything of, playmates, etc.,
In a
etc. They've
sense,
always
they
stuck
could
at
become the
home.
backward generation because 2.5 years are in limbo. So they graduate
Insular.
at 19 instead of
Yeah.
16, for example.
So we have courses for 2.5 to 4 year olds, which are called again the Little Actors Club, where they're exposed to the most fun and exciting stuff. And it's just a treat to see them because they get to be exposed to different ideas, different kids, social interaction, so important at this time. They get together, they get into their teams and they build things and they do mime and they all it's such an eye
How do you
opener for
handle?
us as
Can I be honest,
well.
Rael? How do you handle the very young kids? Yeah, I find them very irritating. I try my best, but they make no sense. They make sounds. They stare too much. They stamp on you. They violate proximity. They leak from everywhere. It's not easy. You got to be
You have
really
to
one of
keep
those.
them you have to keep them gainfully and creatively occupied, and they're the best ever. In fact, I love my smallies the most because they're absolutely unconditioned. They have their own point of view. They have no conditioning that has been thrown onto them and cast onto them. They just want to be and express themselves. So it's
Have you
really, really fun.
have you ever, by mistake, in bad lighting, stepped on a child because they're also very small? Okay, don't answer
No,
that
Sai, I'm
question.
not like you.
No, I do it
No, no,
deliberately.
not
Okay,
quite.
let's go back to all the stuff that we're doing first. I want to talk a little bit about your early life. We have the book. We'll come to that. What is the GG hat and what is the MRR?
Right, right, right. So, whilst we've been doing all this with our children and our young adults, we figured that these were techniques that we developed, and this is very important. So, the MRR is really the mirror, rehearse, and record technique, where a lot of people, on the West End and Broadway use these kind of exercises to be able to, improve themselves. So, it's not only to do with acting; it's to do with everything. At the end of the day, you're making a presentation, you are hosting this show, corporates are doing their own presentations, which they have to be bloody good at because they're selling, certain things that they need to. So we evolved this MRR technique, which has worked so well, so well. So we've decided to, kind of trademark it because this is something that we insist on all our students across the board, whether they're young, old, or whatever. The other thing is, Sai, we're going to be starting, which I want you totally involved with, is drama for senior citizens. I
Ah,
think
how
it's the
dare
need
you,
of the
Raëll?
hour. I think, huh?
What are you saying?
Not you, not you. I want
A
you to get
stylist
involved, like
last week, a young
teaching.
stylist of 22 thought I was 37 years old. Her exact words, and I quote,
Wow.
you are 37, 38 maximum. And then my manager had to go and find her this thing, Aadhaar card of mine on the phone to show her my age. This actually played out. I was so embarrassed that she thought I was so young. I hope it never
So
happens again.
did you take her to Barjol Banaji? Dr. Barjol Banaji?
They won't know your reference. Okay, it's an eye doctor, hence the whole joke. Yeah, all right, fair enough. Come on. Okay, you were saying, so
No,
for
so seriously, we
seniors,
want to do this is the year that we're going to put this into motion because we really feel that they're so goddamn talented and they all want to be part of the
and they're
progress
seniors,
and the
better act
program.
fast, if you know what I mean.
Workshops for seniors, and you've got to be with me on this one. It's going to be real fun for
Okay.
them. So,
Speaking of
coming
seniors,
back,
sorry, go on, go on. I'll make my silly points from time to time. Go on.
No. So coming to our Create Foundation, which we started in Mummy's name, and now of course it's in Mum and Dad's name. So we work with children who are from marginalized backgrounds, children who are challenged. So during the lockdown side, they were the most affected because obviously they had nowhere to go. They had so little to start with, and they had no access to schools, nothing. So we said that we have to, whatever we're giving our mainstream children, we have to be able to give this to our children who are from, differently abled backgrounds. So we started our programs up and running for all of them digitally. Again, theater, speech and drama, all that. And we taught about 400 kids across the board. They all performed. They were all ecstatic, and it gave them such a great sense of what can I say, diversion also, and it gave them something to look forward to, which was so important for everybody, not only them obviously,
It's
but I just
amazing.
feel that they needed it the most.
So during the pandemic, you helped senior people, little infants, kids, teenagers, young adults, people in the corporate world, teachers, people from different walks of life, and I walked my dogs. See how lives are different. We both went different paths completely. I wanted to just
See,
ask
and
you,
I
as
told
a very,
you let's sit and plan the show, and you said no. So we only could plan the show after
that's because
everything happened.
the word plan and me don't go together. You know that. Now, can I can I just put on record, because I need you to say this, so I have it on record and I'll put it on my Insta as a loop, and all our IVM stuff wherever we can loop it, I'll loop it. Is Kunal Vijaykar, please answer correctly, the worst and the most horrible artist you've ever met who's come out of your stable?
No, he's lovable.
No, he may
He's
be
too
lovable, but is he the
lovable.
worst?
Too cute.
Raël, honestly, tell the truth. Don't let me
No.
get all on up on you. I want the truth, Raël. Is he the worst? He's the worst. Just say it once.
KV
The
is our
worst.
pet. He's our pet. All our
See,
team just wait for him. Coming
these are
tomorrow,
these are
in fact.
illogical answers. He's a pet. I mean, what animal does he resemble? Part slug, part
No,
snail, part teddy bear.
no.
What? So worst,
Teddy bear.
just
Not like that. Not like that.
worst.
He's
Second worst.
very lovable, and he remembers nothing. So that's the best part. He knows
Yeah.
he doesn't remember one line, and so we're all after him.
He's
with
talking
the
about
thing
senior
like, come
citizens.
on, KV.
Forget learning the
Huh?
lines. Now forget learning the lines. Now he can't read the teleprompter. Okay, so that's the other
Now he
thing.
can't do it.
That's all that's going on. We can we retire him? We can have a benefit match. We can have a show just for him. All your kids can dance.
But
We can have all the workshop kids coming. It'll make a real tribute. But he must never work again after that. Please promise me you'll do this much for society. Do the right thing, Raëll.
no, he's so sweet. Tomorrow you're not coming for rehearsal, but he's coming. And y'all have to rehearse together, actually.
Okay.
But he's
For people
still
listening,
coming. So we're
for people
gonna
listening, because they
sing.
won't understand
Huh?
what we're talking about. At the time of this conversation, I'll be going to Bangalore for some work to earn some money. Kunal wants to kill time in the evening, so he's going to Rael's house to rehearse when his entire performance is 7 minutes. Okay, so in the 1 hour
No.
20-minute show, yeah. Okay, 8 minutes. I'll push
But
it there.
but coming back to this thing about the pandemic, Cyrus, so our show, which is called Unmasked, was really a take on everything post pandemic. And that was the whole idea. And I found that everyone who's come to the show, and this is not because you're on this hosting this podcast,
Loosely termed
everybody has
hosting.
come
Yeah.
out, huh? Everyone has come out and said, you know what, this is so therapeutic for us. The show has been, because it's so interactive, everybody's involved. It's no brain, no
Although
big,
Rael,
brain strain.
for the record, may I just say that you and I were like India, Pakistan, or Ukraine, Russia in terms of philosophy about the COVID pandemic. Me being anti-mask, anti everything, and saying just get on with life, and you staying in the house and not moving with 4 masks on right till yesterday when you walked out for the first time. So just for the record, and we still managed to work together cohesively. It's a great sign for the world. This sort of secularism, people with such different
I have to
range of
say,
philosophy.
and for the future of theatre, because I think we managed a pretty good job, because everybody's raving about the show and they're all wanting to come. So I have this huge list right here in front of me, which I've got to figure out how to seat them. But great, it's
and
it's
and
fantastic that people want to get out.
our podcast is so boring. We need to just read out names to pass time. So let's go for it. And okay. Listen, I want the early years before we take a break. So what else you want to talk about? Coping skills we sort of mentioned. De-stress with drama we mentioned. The book.
Yeah, the book. Shall we talk about the Gigi hat?
You didn't. Gigi hat then. Gigi hat it is. You've convinced me that Gigi
Shall
hat
I
is
say
the moment
now?
of the day. Please.
Shall I speak? Yeah, okay.
Yes,
So,
please.
like I was saying with the MRR technique, we also developed this new thing which I've just introduced into all our classes. And as you know, we teach children across the board. So, we teach in almost 35 schools across Bombay. And of course, we have our own centers. So, the message is quite clear and it has to be across the board. So, the GG hat is something that's very special, which is the gratitude and good deed hat. So, this is something that the children absolutely love. And it's something that's value building from a very young age. So our kids who are 4, yes.
I have a question about good deed, and please clarify if I'm wrong. If a bike coming up the one way passes your car and
Oh
you don't hit him with the car,
no.
is it a good deed? Does it count as a good deed? Because you really should and would, but you don't.
This is your pet peeve. It's been in all of our shows. I can't handle it anymore. It's
I just
not
want to hit them.
important.
I just want to run over those bikes. I'm sorry. I just want to do it so badly. And I didn't. So, isn't that an act of kindness, compassion,
No, absolutely not.
tolerance?
You have to repent. You have to
Okay.
repent totally.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
so no, so like I was saying, there are a lot of these things that we incorporate within our schools, within our academy, which we feel it's not only about theatre; it's a lot to do with all the other aspects of growing up, personality development, value building in children from a very young age. So I think that they need to get exposed to all that. Also, post pandemic, the children wanted to talk about so many things, so we introduced a talk time for 5 minutes of the class before we kick off. And there's so much that they want to share, and all the experiences that they have, etc., etc. So it's a wonderful, what can I say, forum to be able to just be yourself and not with any kind of preconditions. Nothing. It's just you.
Also, all this stuff carries on beyond pandemic because at the end of the day, stress continues and all this continues, and you get a way to unwind or deal with things, etc. So it's not like it's time bound for a pandemic. Let's be very clear about that. I think a lot of people should understand that instead of, I mean, you could go to a psychiatrist, nothing wrong with that either, or a therapist, mental therapist. But these kind of things you can incorporate into your life, the slice of drama or the performance arts or what have you. And in a sense, it could be like a ritual that helps you keep mentally healthy as well, in a sense. I'm just putting it out there. Because I really think we Indians are too inhibited sometimes, and especially urban India, and we need to get out there a little bit and have a little more fun, express ourselves, be more infantile, childish, not wear clothes, spit in public. No, that we've done. All the above, barring that. Raëll, I want to talk about the book because I wanted to talk about your growing up, and I don't have time. We are time bound. So the book quickly.
Okay.
Uh, yeah.
The book. This is so we launched Dad's book and we had a podcast with you with Vandana on it. And subsequently, I just wanted to give you an update. We've done launches all over the country. It's been like in Bangalore, Delhi, Pune, everywhere. We're going to be doing a pan India launch. We're doing this at the Bombay Gym, which you're also part of. But what was important about the book was that everybody got to share a lot. I mean, the ideas, which were quite radical in many ways, which was a 5-year marriage license, renewable license that Daddy was talking about, and lots of other things. I think that everybody got a chance and the experience to be able to state their point, which was, I think, what is not being accessible today. Not accessible. We have to stay within the confines of what we need to speak about. There are so many taboos. I mean, I think it's important to break out and think out of the box certain times. You don't have to act on everything, but certainly you have to put it out there to be able to express your point of view.
Okay, we'll make it compulsory reading when I become Prime Minister of the country. Don't you worry. I will do my bit for the thespian community. It will be done. Worry not. So that book is out for those. What is the book called again? Just so that we can give it a quick
Let
brush
me
with our
hijack
listeners.
your mind. Let
Let
me
me
hijack your mind.
hijack your mind. And I think if we have a copy somewhere, we'll add it to this great production because there's something called post where you'll see the book. It'll miraculously appear. Boom, there it is. All right. Just a quick word before we bring in Silvery, your biggest fan. Let people understand who don't have a sense of theater, but they will remember. Many of them will remember your parents' names: Pearl Padamsee, iconic Alec Padamsee, iconic both Padamsees. There's another difficult name to pronounce. Just clarify that right now. How is it pronounced? Because many people do the Pad first, but it's more,
Padamsee.
yeah, it's more Padamsee.
Padam.
Um, and so going back, tell us a little bit about growing up and how did you get obviously got in because of the antecedents, etc. But give us a little bit about the young Raëll.
Sky, it was crazy. We had all things theatre in the house. So our house was built like a theatre at Bella Terrace at Woodhouse Road in Bombay. So my dad built it from scratch. The whole house was the theatre, and the terrace, which we had a huge, huge terrace, was the audience, where the audience sat. And every single evening, we either had rehearsals or
Is it
workshops. So
is
the
it
house
true?
was full.
Is it true if anybody heckled the performers, Alec would throw them out off the terrace into the road?
I think if you entered with alcohol, he'd throw you off the terrace. He was very anti-alcohol.
By the way, he
But
nearly threw me. He nearly threw me off the terrace in Christmas Eve twice at his own parties. He asked me to go twice, 2 years in a row. It's a
I
world
think that was
record.
for other reasons. That was for
What other
other
reason?
reasons.
I
Yeah,
was
so
just
that was
drunk.
so that was
Sorry, go
say
on.
say no
I'm
no.
saying I was just
So
drunk and I was told to
workshops.
go. Huh.
So basically, the theater. So, like I said, we grew up in the theater. That was our home. That was our theater. We were exposed to so much. We never, ever, 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 ever watched television. There was no question of it. There was high drama in our home every single day. And plus, which we got to meet so many interesting people, through the thing, through growing up. There were I can't say who's who in that time. I don't mean to sound, in any way. Facetious, but it was. I mean, everybody who's involved in the arts, from dance to music to everything. It was like a
Advertising.
meeting ground for everyone. And
Yeah.
advertising, absolutely. So there was a lot that was happening. So growing up was really one big, big
Oh,
picnic, so to
but
speak. It was a lot of fun. And then, of course, as we grew older, my father said, that's it. You have to go out and do an MBA. There's no such thing as theater.
oh,
Yeah.
what happened to hijack your mind? Went all conventional on you.
Yes, because at that time he was so clear that his daughter would be stand on her own 2 feet, earn her own living, not be dependent on anybody. So he gave me a car at 18. He said, you know what, you have to be independent. There's no to. So I guess that was a time when, he was trying to be as liberal as he could to think about, building up a daughter that had all the skills available to her and to empower her, especially economically. So at 16, he sent me to work, by the way, at Western Outdoor Advertising, as you remember. And he insisted that I didn't waste a single moment. So I was enrolled into 20 courses and made to keep very, very occupied. And he was very clear. I had to do a commerce degree and do an MBA. And I said, listen, are you crazy? Everybody's in St. Xavier's College. You're sending me to HR college. Are you mad? He said, no, that's it. That's what you got to do.
You just disrespected HR college on the podcast for no reason. We get funding from them.
No, it's my alma mater, of course. Don't be silly. I love it. I learned everything that I had to do about business today
from
through
the House
that
of Romance, HR college. For those who are outside Mumbai, in my time in the 90s, it was called House of Romance. Was it that? I don't know if it still has that name, but definitely had it 30 years back. Raëll, one question. We need to go to break. One question people ask who follow your career, obviously very successful entrepreneur, producer, creative personality, etc., and provider of talent. But why didn't Raëll take to the stage herself? Now, I've seen you perform Julia, if I remember correctly. I've seen you twice actually on stage. So it's not like you haven't, but you definitely did your best
one
not
slap, we acted together.
Yeah, we did, but you didn't. Otherwise, it was very rare. So, what is the reason for that? But I know that you have. I'm saying, but people mostly think that's the only question they ask. Both the performing parents, both were known as performers as well as producer, directors, etc. So, why didn't Raëll act enough?
So I did like 3, 4 plays, I think maybe 5 plays, and then I realized that, you know what, I then mummy said, listen, forget it. I'm doing all these plays. I need somebody to produce them. So I opened a production company and started producing. So, it was kind of par for the cause. I mean, that's how it went. And simultaneously, we went into direction. I really was keen to direct. So I started directing a lot. So that was the key.
I got a great teaser as we go into break. When we come back after the break, we're going to ask Raëll about her co-star who played her lover in a production I was also part of and refused to kiss her, was embarrassed to kiss her, and we had to do a kissing workshop. The name of that co-star will be revealed after this break. Raëll is with us. Stay here. We'll be back in a second. Here's the break.
Hello, everybody. It's been another great week on the IVM Podcast Network. On The Longest Constitution, Priya talks about electoral bonds and why they're unconstitutional. On Press Decode, Sarah, Vagda, and Prafulla look at the Indian competitive exams and their unreasonable rules. On Think Fast, Varun and Sujita discuss metabolic fitness programs like Ultrahuman and the pros and cons of home offices. On Cock and Bull, Cyrus and Abbas are joined by actor, screenwriter, and director Rajat Kapoor. They talk about his love of cinema and his new film, RKRK. And on The Habit Coach, Ashton talks about the 5 stages of grief. Once again, I'd like to remind you all that we got some exciting merchandise out there for you guys. Go to the IBM Podcast website and click on the shop tab and check out our first collection of t-shirts. Also, do follow us on social media. We're IBM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. We're also on YouTube. Do remember to check out a bunch of our channels over there. And also remember, if you're enjoying this show or any of our other shows for that matter, please tell a friend. Word of mouth is very, very helpful for spreading the word. And finally, we'd like to thank our sponsors this week, both Lifestyle, Small Case, Capgemini, and Intel vPro. Thank you so much for making this possible.
We are joined, Raëll. For those who just joined in, Raëll is with us. And we're joined by Silvery, a very big fan of yours, who will come to him in a second because I want to finish what I said before the break. And I'm going to ask him, Silvery, try and guess who's this co-star back in the 90s sometime. It's long
who played
time
ma'am's lover in a play with her.
Yes. Proper love kissing
Co-star.
scene. Well, kissing, we don't do more than that.
What lies?
I mean, I can't think of anyone, so just hoping that it's true, I'm going to say Kunal Vijaykar.
He was embarrassed. Yes,
What?
Silvery. You are I'm so proud of you, beta.
Dude?
I'm so proud of you.
That's amazing.
It was the useless Vijaykar. Let's go by the full name. Kunal Useless Vijaykar. He is the guy.
Oh, wow.
And Raëll and I had to hold his hand and say, don't worry, you'll get through this. He was so scared. Such a conservative when it comes down to it. You guys have no idea. Ask Kajol if you don't believe me. This man runs at the drop of a hat. Yeah. You don't remember,
Wow, that's
Raëll?
great.
No, absolutely not. I don't remember
Oh,
kissing
I
KV at
swear.
all.
I
ma'am
swear.
has
My
repressed that memory. Is this not going to make
yes,
sure she never
he's
remembers
right.
it?
Silvery is right.
Yes.
That makes absolute sense. Repressing the memory, fair enough. Cannot blame you. Yeah.
I remember a
Ma'am,
lot of other things about KV, but not kissing.
That's what all I would say. That's what she said, but I mean all the she's. All right.
uh,
Silvery, quick
yeah.
introduction.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hi, ma'am. I'm Antariksh. We met before. Ma'am, I have a quick question.
No, just one
You
second
have
before you
worked.
ask the question.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Just your so he's done the workshop. He's been part of your
Yeah,
team.
yeah, correct. Ma'am, I was part of the your little actors workshop, the little actors club. I was
Club.
part
Yeah.
of one of the little actors
Would you
in that.
remember when and where?
So super.
I was
So
in
super.
Kolaba side. I don't. It was
Holy name.
in some school only. I'm forgetting
Holy name
where now. I
school.
was very
No,
small. I
no.
Nothing.
was.
Must be in the building only. Ground
Yes, it
floor.
was.
Yeah, yeah. We had a
Yeah.
center here. Yeah.
Yes,
But
Okay.
correct.
it's so
So that's where it
lovely,
was.
Antariksh.
Yes, ma'am.
There's you, there's my dentist who's actually doing all my surgery. He also
Oh
told
wow.
me after the surgery, thank God, that ma'am, you used to teach me. Yeah. I was like
Oh.
devastated. I go, oh my God. And
But
so many people come up to me, which is such a lovely, lovely, lovely
That's great.
feeling.
Yeah,
people come
absolutely.
up to me also, Silvery, and say, "Are you Sajid Khan?" But I don't even blink. I say yes and move on. But before you ask your question, one more thing. Do you remember any teachers? Any names? Because I
I
know a
do
lot of them.
not. I'm absolutely sorry.
Okay.
I do
Did
not remember
anybody
anyone.
slap you or try to hold your hand too
No,
tightly
no.
or ask you to sit on their lap? Nothing like
I
that,
remember
no?
once
What rubbish. Keep quiet.
there there was someone named Cyrus Brocha who came in who was just picking up students and then slapping them for whatever reason. I don't know why he would do that. It was
What
a
about
weird
that
thing.
very boring uncle who was coughing all the time called Kunal Vijaykar? वो भी था ना?
Yes, yes. He's always
But
around wherever Cyrus Brocha is. Yes, I've heard of him also. Yes.
Apparently, he says
Uh,
only
but
nice things about us
Sky,
when he's on
Sky,
camera.
Sky, I don't think you
Ah,
remember, but Siddharth, SRK, Siddharth Roy Kapoor,
yeah,
Kunal Roy Kapoor, they were
of
all our
course.
teachers at
wow.
LAC, Little Actors Club.
But Kunal was
You
like,
remember?
I was Kunal's mentor until he caught me with a girl. Then he's never spoken to me properly again. I felt he may have been otherwise inclined in those days because he was very hurt for some reason. But that's a story for another day, Ryle, not for this
Yeah,
podcast.
Okay. Sure.
Now,
that's true. Another one.
Yeah.
Silvery was
Ma'am,
asking a question.
do you so I know you go to a lot of schools and colleges also, I think, right? For these
Yeah,
programs to inculcate students into theater and the theater life. Do they then is there like a process for them to bleed into theater production and become actual theater actors, or is
He's
that just
asking you this, if I may intercede, Silvery, he's asking you this because he went into an acting class. I won't mention, this is for
yes?
cinema, Mall. And, and
That is true.
because these
That is
guys,
absolutely true. Yeah.
I mean, this is really unfair. A lot of people have stars in their eyes. They join these classes, they pay a lot of money, and then it doesn't go anywhere. Literally,
Yeah.
like if you look at the head count, 99%
yeah,
go nowhere. Those that do come from filmy families. Theatre, on the other hand, being a little
right.
different. I mean, it's a poor man's profession and all that. But so I
That's
think
true,
his
yeah.
point is, and this is a very good point for people who really want to get into it. Where does it lead
Exactly.
next?
Yeah.
Right. So my whole point has always been, listen, guys, do this. It's very important. It's great for your personality. It's great for you and as an individual. But I would be very, very practical and tell you that there's very little money involved in terms of earning a
Mm.
living, etc. So you should always
But
have
but
something else as well as a backup, because that's how life is. I mean, you can't buck the system. This is it. Of course, you will
Mm.
get opportunities to act in plays, to better
actually,
yourself, and get up there.
Ryle,
But
there is a
yeah,
it's not a clear process, but I think when you get a start in theater, whatever, Hindi, Marathi, Gujarati, English, whichever one you get your foothold into, the chances are people see you. You may get ad work, you may get voiceover work, which is exactly what happened with people like me.
absolutely,
From there, you suddenly, I mean, it's an opportunity comes and goes. I'm not saying everybody gets it, but
Yeah.
there are lots of opportunity that theater will provide. But unlike poor Silvery, who
absolutely,
thought that he'll
and
become a
also a
hero
lot of
5 minutes after graduating,
Yeah.
I think here you at least understand that you're in the system then
Yeah.
once you get into a
yeah.
play.
I think also, because of OTT, there's a lot of opportunity out there. There's a lot happening. So, and they want different kinds of faces, different kinds of personalities, different
She's
kinds of
saying, Silvery, अगर
character
तू वो
अभी भी
actors.
अगली भी
chance
है,
है.
अगली भी
Ma'am is
हाँ
saying
हाँ
अभी भी
वो कोई
chance है.
problem नहीं है. This is how good English speaking people talk here. It doesn't matter. Different faces चाहिए there. I mean, how
Yeah.
can they be more clear? You
Yeah.
and me, we
No,
suck.
Yes.
what rubbish.
Yeah.
Shut up. What rubbish, of
We don't
course,
even know
of
how
course.
he's
It's
probably
not
very
like
good
we want
looking,
the
but he has this
chocolate
huge
box
beard. We
hero
don't
all the
know.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Huh?
that's gone anyway. Poor one chocolate hero took off his clothes and people are attacking him. It's not correct the way the world is turning.
Yes, correct.
Um, just to again
Yeah. So to
iterate. So
answer your
yeah, sorry, you take it.
no, no. So to answer you, Antariksh, that's the answer. Definitely, what Cyrus was also saying, that you get an opportunity to be seen, you get an opportunity to perform, you get an opportunity to be part of a really big team. Even if you don't get to be actually on stage, you're getting to be part of the
Hmm.
whole production, which again is a
Absolutely.
huge learning. I mean, the theater is the one that teaches you the most discipline. You have to
Right.
conform to so many different kind of
And there are so
parameters
many
that
we've seen successful people who are successful in terms of monetary and career success, but not in the theater specifically, but are
Yeah.
from the theater. Like say Ronnie Screwwala, he's spoken about it. Siddharth, you mentioned Siddharth Roy Kapoor, he's spoken about it, and there are tons of others as well. They go left field, right field, wherever, and but they always mention how theaters help them. So I can't see it as a bad thing. And I also think it makes you more humane, dealing with plays, dealing with literature, dealing with poetry, dealing with all these things. It can't hurt you. Well, depends if they tell you which poem
absolutely,
to
and
read. No,
dealing
that's a different story. Yeah. Huh.
right, and dealing with the human experience, I think that's most important. That you're just and
Plus,
it's so much fun.
it's so
You
much fun.
know, both
I,
of y'all know.
I know. And now I'm only doing clothes are off theater, because I'm an adult and people want to see more. We have to be more edgy. So my productions are all there's only a curtain. Curtain ke piche. It's like Parda ke piche productions. That's the name of my production company, by the way, guys. So really think about it. We are
Yeah.
looking for young men. Eh?
Absolutely. Ma'am,
uh,
I
you'll
have
get to
another
star
question.
against iconic Kunal Vijaykar in a kissing scene. Are you in, young man?
uh, yes. No, no, it's good. Ma'am, I also wanted to ask. So you just did a play with Cyrus called Unmasked, and Kunal was also featuring in it. How did that come about? Like you told us like the play has done really well and people have been really complimentary towards it. But how did it come out? Did Cyrus get in touch with you saying, "Okay, hey, I have this idea. I want to develop this," which I doubt. Cyrus does not seem like the kind of
Absolutely
guy who
not.
would. Yes.
Absolutely not. Cyrus, Cyrus. So we were chatting and we said, we want to do something post now the pandemic because, we'd all been at home for 2.5 years. So this was something that we discussed in terms of as a team, of course. Craig was also involved. Craig,
between the
Sai,
two
KP,
between the two
everybody.
pandemics then before the second hit us, we were actually thinking
Yeah.
we didn't know there would be a second one. Yeah, sorry, go on.
Yeah. That's true. That's true. The wave came about pretty soon. So, we had started ideating, putting things together, deciding that, look, this is what we want to do. And then post this particular thing in March, in April, I think, in April, May, we just sat down and we said, look, this is what we want to get it, up and running. And we were very clear that we wanted it to be highly interactive. So the entire play from start to finish is audience inclusive, and Cyrus is so brilliant. Cyrus, don't listen to this,
Cyrus is the
but he's
amazing at that.
so
Yes.
brilliant at
Absolutely.
improv and extempore that
Absolutely.
he manages to get everybody in that audience up and running, into such a frenzy of
That does not surprise me
humor,
at all.
laughter,
Yeah.
all
Cyrus
that.
And
Cyrus
similarly,
is
at the
great
end
at
of the
that. Yes.
show, the winner who gets a special prize gets to kiss Kunal Vijaykar on stage.
Oh, okay. So
It's
everyone
You're
wants to
just
lose.
obsessed with Kunal
everybody
Everyone
because
goes
is
you
home.
say
Yeah.
everybody tries really hard to lose, is what you're
Yeah,
saying.
yeah. But just a
Yes.
quick question, since she mentioned the pandemic, and we have discussed this offline with her. So, are you
Yeah.
pro Eknath Shinde or Uddhav Thackeray when it comes to Maharashtra politics, Raëll?
who are you talking to?
I know
Me.
Silvery. Silvery's from Powai. He doesn't give up. Flying, he won't.
I can't
He
hear
doesn't
you.
care.
The everything's gone blank. I can't hear you too well. The
Come
sound is
on, it's a
completely
democracy. You
gone.
can have an opinion. You can support somebody. What the hell, yeah?
I
Okay,
want
take
I
it.
Yeah.
want my show to run. That is the thing.
Okay, can
I
I just to
invite
go back?
everyone, Uddhav and
Just
Eknath. Huh?
you know what that
Wow.
means? There'll
In
be
one play,
only cops
in
and
one.
bodyguards sitting in the
Yeah.
theater. They each come at 250. What's the point?
Hey,
But
that's a full
uh,
house. It's great.
That's
yeah, it's a full house with the same
Yeah.
uniforms. Can you
Yes.
imagine?
Not a bad thing. It's pretty
Yeah,
good.
fair enough.
Uh,
Just quickly,
Ma-
I'll just add to
yeah,
that. I think what Raëll had told us, actually making us feel guilty, is that the theatre had come to we've spoken to Kunal Kapoor on our podcast, if you remember, Silvery, same thing. It come to
yeah,
a standstill. Now, while she, comes from an affluent background, etc., etc., everybody doesn't. There's a whole industry that works around it. People who are
yeah,
hired from backstage lights, this, that, people in our business who work for her on salaries, etc. So all that is becoming difficult, when you have 2 years of no work, as you have in restaurants or any other industry. So also the point of view that we have to start doing things. Because we start doing things, and sort of the ball rolls, and then everybody starts getting paid.
yeah.
And just to get that, that dynamism back in the industry, if you want to call it that. So then she made us feel bad. Kunal cried and all that. And then of course he asked Deepak. Then he asked Deepak to get him chai, in the same
Yeah.
sentence. So yeah, he felt really bad. Deepak, tere liye main karega chai lana. It was like that. Yeah.
So was the idea to always have Kunal as part of the play, or did he
Someone
get
has to
involved
pick
like
and
at a
drop
later point?
me. Someone has to pick and drop me, Silvery. Rai is very cunning that way.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah, to make sure.
Poor Kunal.
For every Shinde, there's a Thakre. Remember that. Yeah.
Great.
Um,
Awesome.
No,
no,
but
Ma'am, one more
having
thing.
said that,
we are
Rai,
a team.
he's not come to see the show. We've done 2, 3 shows already here.
Yeah.
And we have one, I don't know, well, this releases on Friday morning, the
This
29th.
Sunday, you better come now. This
Yeah,
Sunday is the
31st
This
Sunday
Sunday
at
I'm there.
Andrews.
I'm there this
Huh?
Sunday. Yes. This Sunday I'm there.
6:30.
Pakka.
6:30 at Andrews, definitely. We must be there. Because
100%.
you know what? You need it. You're all under so much stress.
Can't
Your
tell
knees
Silvery
need
Absolutely.
stress.
6:30. Silvery is always late. Silvery 6 baje ka show hai. Huh?
Oh
6 baje,
God,
6 o'clock.
okay.
Got it.
Yeah, yeah,
Got it. Got it.
yeah.
6 o'clock.
5:30.
You mean
5:30.
7:30? I'll be there.
And it's Cyrus and Kunal. So we'll start at 6:29 if we can. Just think.
Yes.
It's all wrong. This whole thing is wrong.
Correct. So,
Yeah.
ma'am, since you have worked with Cyrus and Kunal for so many years, if you could please indulge us with one thing that is like something that is a favorite of yours about Cyrus, and one thing that you're not a fan of when it comes to Cyrus, and the same with Kunal. So, one thing you like and one thing you
So with
dislike.
So
about
she-
Cyrus, I
You'll have
have
to
to
lie
tell
about
you that
Kunal, Raëll.
whenever
Okay, go on.
whenever we rehearse with Cyrus, there is
Yes.
no rehearsal. It is
Absolutely.
only about food.
Yes, I
You have to
concur.
understand. First thing
She's
is
like
the food
Suresh.
before
Just
anything
become
else.
Suresh. You become Suresh.
Correct.
Don't be Suresh.
Absolutely, yes. मेरा omelette किधर है मेरे कबाब किधर है That's what Cyrus needs.
Suresh
and
criticizing me 1,000
once
episodes.
the food,
Sorry, go on,
has
Raëll.
come, he eats it all, doesn't offer anybody even a bite, a morsel, nothing. And then he says, "Okay, Rai, I'm off." Just for rehearsal.
What about carrying food back for Maya? I'm really good that way. I feed the tribe. I take food back for Maya. Like I pack
will
it and take
take
it back. You
from
forget?
my
Yeah.
house. So that's true.
Nice.
So we know that with Sai, we first have to order the food way before he arrives.
Hey, Raëll,
He
your
always
audio is
comes
getting
early. I
crazy.
always get pissed off.
Always.
I've never heard of anybody arriving before time. It irritates the hell out of me.
Cyrus,
But
how
he
are you
comes.
like this everywhere? Like you're always going everywhere early. You're making all of us normal people look bad.
Okay, I couldn't hear what Raëll said.
Stress, we get stressed.
No, Cyrus, Raëll ma'am just talked about you reaching the set early and all, even for play practice. And then ma'am getting pissed at you for coming up so damn early.
No, they don't put the AC on. Let me tell you the
Always
problem
early.
with the elite in theatre. So Vijaykar and Brocha like to go when the AC is on. Now the AC you have to pay for by the hour. So I'm always trying to check what time they put the AC on. So now finally Craig is telling the truth. In the old time, Craig is a right-hand man. He's the main producer of our show. We should mention him. So Craig is the guy to talk to because ultimately Raëll herself comes 5 minutes before the show, like a star. So otherwise, I'm just dying there, man. I have to take my shirt off during the rehearsal and all because I'm sweating. Back is sweating, and I put a suit on after that. It is a poor man's profession.
Right.
This is not a set with a trailer and a spot boy and air condition everywhere and people giving you food and drink. Although we are treated as well as you can be treated, I must say. And not to mention, I have Mr. Maintenance himself, Vijay Kunalkar. He goes by that name after the Smriti Irani issue. So that no one recognizes him, we have to call him Vijay Kunalkar. I don't want any trouble. So he's really scared. He's got a bodyguard now and everything. Yeah, which
Great.
is
How
something
sweet.
he always
So-
wanted.
How
Yeah.
Something you like and something you dislike about Kunal Vijaykar or Vijay Kunalkar as
Vijay Kunalkar, boss.
Vijay Kunalkar never remembers a single line, I have to tell you. So constantly we have to have people following him around with the script because otherwise he doesn't know anything. And he's so sweet and he's so adorable. But he does it so
Very sweet.
adorable. But he's a
Yeah.
Your heart starts
fantastic.
shaking. You take the cue. He goes to the line before. You know, you just go and you know that it's all downhill from here because you're trying to save the skit now, and we're going in circles trying to
So
find the
funny.
next line. Oh man,
Oh god.
oh, he's
That's
And
hilarious.
hilarious.
Sai is so mean now. He's so mean. He says,
Yeah, yeah.
"Oh, but you forgot your line on stage." Guys,
That's hilarious.
poor
Hilarious.
KB. You really put him in a spot.
But I remember in
But
Bajirao,
yeah.
Raëll in Bajirao, he has an iconic line as that drug peddler where he has to, the girl
Mm.
hasn't paid him on time, and he tells her in English, the last line he says about the money, 6 o'clock tomorrow, or you won't see 22 because she's 21 years old. And that's the line. And what does he say? 22 tomorrow, or you won't see 6:30. Everyone was like, what? What? And,
Oh,
and,
22 tomorrow.
the best part is
only
all the lines,
KB. Only
the
KB.
Hindi and
That.
Marathi lines he pulled off, and the English line.
But having said that, they both have their own absolute, what can I say, spaces that they operate in. They're
Yes.
fantastic. KV and the art of, becoming different characters. He's very detailed, extremely detailed. And Cyrus and his completely amazing improv. I think they complement each other so well in this way, and that's why we've done so many different productions of this particular kind of genre.
Also, let's
With
be
both
honest,
of them.
Ral, tell the truth. Alia Bhatt said no. Every time we've asked her to be the co-star. That's why we go back to Kunal. We start with Alia, and we slowly slip down, and then finally it's Kunal. Maybe one day.
Get it.
We'll
Why
Fair.
choose
maybe?
this. Why don't we have Alia on the
Yeah.
podcast? Silvery, organize it. Ral, make a call. What the hell?
Yeah.
We need some
Uh,
young, good
Again, Alia will
on
say
this
no, and
podcast.
we'll get Kunal only again. What will happen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
or she'll stay for the first half and then bad luck. She
Yeah,
had to
correct.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Or
So do
we
we
can
have
get
any?
Kunal dressed as Alia Bhatt. We can do that.
No,
That is
no,
something.
please don't take
That's
Alia
a
away from us.
point.
Yes.
Please, no one can watch Alia. No.
Okay.
Right.
Cool.
Do
Should
we
we get
have
to
some
some email
email?
questions? Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. All right. The first one comes in from Jagruti Tambe, who says, "Hi, Cyrus and Raëll. Hope you're both doing well. Wanted to please ask, Raëll, you've now produced so many plays. How many plays do you work on simultaneously? And how do you decide which plays to make or adapt next? So at one time, how many plays are
Okay,
you
so
doing?
And also, she's personally involved. Even though she's producer, it's not like she's not involved in explain why play.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, go on, right?
So basically, we have currently, on our roster, so to speak, about 7 to 8 plays that we take. We perform in Bombay, Pan India, globally. Some of them have been around for a really long time, like 13, 14 years. Some of them 10, 12 years, like Broken Images, 6, 7 years. So they've been, they have a lot of,
Broken Images
what
is
can
with
I say,
Shabana
staying
Azmi.
power.
Iconic
Wow.
Shabana Azmi.
Huh?
He's telling the kid he's not seen the
And
play.
Shabana.
Broken Images.
She's coming hopefully to Sunday's show. Javed and how much he loves you.
I had a
So,
big crush on her when I was young. But I also like Javed. I'm
really?
torn now. I like Shabana. I like Javed. I like both. Kya karo? Luckily, we have Kunal.
Yeah.
So I'll figure it out.
So, like I said, we have about 8 to 10 shows on simultaneously. We also do a lot of plays in our schools. So we do about 400 different plays a year,
Oh my
of
God.
different
Wow.
permutations, combinations, all with set lights, costumes, etc. So it's a lot. It's really a lot. And the fact is that we have a fantastic team, and that's really what keeps it together, and that we can do
So
so
I
many
guess-
things simultaneously. Of course, we have to be very, very organized and make sure that everything is perfect. But this is how we look at it. And to discuss the future projects, I think we also have a very good team that we sit down together and figure out whether we want to do musical theater, we want to do something that's fun, like Cyrus and Kunal, or we want to do something serious, like Broken Images with Shabana. So there are a lot of things on the plate right now. We're planning 3, 4 new productions. So those are going to hopefully hit the boards later this year, early next year. So
Raëll, is it
keep
safe to say that
tuned
if
to the podcast.
is it safe to say if someone asks you out on a date, the last thing you want to do is go for a play? I'm like 400 plays. This rehearsal. Like I can imagine that's the worst decision.
Absolutely. In fact, people say, "Oh, you didn't come to see my play." I said, "Listen, I think we're seeing a lot of it." But having said that, I always do go see a lot of
What a
different
liar,
stuff that's
Raëll.
happening.
You
I've been
go to
used to
England.
that.
You You go to England and New York just to watch 20 plays at a time. Of course, she has the
This
money,
is true.
Silvery.
This
Everyone
is
can't afford those plays. They're so expensive.
no,
100
no,
pounds a
I don't
ticket.
have the money.
100 pounds a ticket, bro. It's not a joke. 100
Wow.
pounds is the production value of my entire show. That's a
$300.
ticket. $300. There you go. $300.
$300. But you know what
That,
was the lovely thing,
wait, wait,
Sai,
wait,
that
wait.
we took our
Wait,
whole
Raëll. I'm
team.
just contacting Meghna. I have to find out how much that is. Meghna, $300 kitna hoga? Rupiya mein? Ah, okay.
It's $300,000. The 300 rupees is $300,000 basically.
It's an in joke,
According to Meghna, yes.
Raëll, between us, our guys that work together. Our new producer, he's a superbly intellectual and very wise man, writes really well. Made one faux pas about the currency value vis-a-vis Indian rupee and dollar, and we will
Yeah.
never let him forget because he's reached the petty crucible of podcasts. Yeah, where
Yes.
you make a mistake, we
How
tear you down like
mean.
wolves.
Hmm.
Yep, it's all fun.
How
Sorry,
mean. How
you
Should
were
I-
saying.
But having said that, I have to tell you a very exciting thing. We took our entire team, but that means our instructors, our main executive producers, everybody, Risha, Natty, everybody, Craig. We took them all to New York and we gave them a
Wow.
whole kind of grounding in the Lee Strasberg course, including our instructors. And we made sure they watched a huge number of plays on Broadway. And it was such an experience. That was really the learning experience. To be able to do that was something very, very special for us as a company and as a production house. To keep it all together and everybody experiencing the same wonderful theater that we could.
I have an email here from a listener, and the email is Raëll, I want to join the circus. Can you help? Some Vijay Kunalkar.
Oh, wow. Nice.
What is?
He
How do
has
I
to be
answer
on the
this?
show next time with us,
Yeah.
KV. I mean, Sai.
He makes the best bearded lady I've ever seen. And you remember the old days, all circuses had a
Yeah.
bearded lady. Yeah, so don't forget that. Silvery, show some respect,
Yeah.
bro. Respect. Ah,
Yes, I'm always respectful. What are you talking about? Okay, no,
that's
let's not
true.
get there.
Yeah,
Except for
let's not.
yesterday's example. Okay.
Oh,
All right.
hey, by the way, I got people texting. Sorry, Raëll, this is about our 1000th episode. Just give us a second. We'll just. Two people have texted me asking me who
Yeah.
the person was, and I've told them.
You told
Okay?
them? Oh,
Yeah,
God.
yeah. But I like I told you, he's a great friend of mine with a great sense
Yes,
of
yes.
humor, so you don't have to worry.
Yes.
Sorry,
Okay,
back to
cool, cool.
Raël.
Yeah. Should I go to the next AMA? The next one comes in from Vaidehi Shah. She asks, "Hi Cyrus and dear guest, huge fan of the show. My question is a personal one and something I could use your advice on." Vaidehi says, I'm going through a period of feeling extremely low for the past month or so, where I just don't feel like doing anything, including working. I'm hoping to find things that bring me joy rather than just feeling sorry for myself. How do you guys deal with a lack of motivation during weeks where you just don't feel inspired or incentivized to work?
Was that Kunal's question again?
That was good.
Sorry.
Comes in from Vaidehi.
Okay, this is a serious question from Vaidehi.
Yeah.
Raël, you take it. With this lack of drive, a lot of people go
Yeah,
through
lack
it.
of motivation, lack of drive. Yeah.
You know what? I think you really just have to take that extra effort and that extra step and push yourself, because a lot of us through the whole, through our lives, forget the pandemic, have all felt this. It's part of life. It's not something that you can get away from. Just
But it
make
gets more
sure that you
chronic.
engage with other
For
people.
Vaidehi, I
It
think
is.
it's getting, as there's a level thingy. Now we all go through it, but then there's a chronic thing where you can't get out of the lack of drive and motivation. So what do you do?
Absolutely. But I think for that is when you have to turn to either your family or your friends, make that effort, make the effort to step out, make that effort to step out. It really changes your perspective. I mean, I stayed at home for 2 years, literally not stepping out of my house because I knew I had a responsibility to my team, to my family, to my whole company, not to fall sick, not to be,
But I stepped out every day with the
incapacitated. So
same
I
responsibility
pushed
to your team.
myself.
Oh,
Huh?
I stepped out every day. I stepped out from day one. I was
I know
out.
you're a crazy person.
Wow.
That's why you and I had so many arguments. That you were out
We
all the
can't have
time and I was
arguments.
in all the
You
time.
were locked inside an ivory tower and I wasn't allowed in. So how would
I
we have
did.
the arguments?
I did. I admitted. And to get out was very difficult for me as well, by the way. So you know what? You have to take that step. You have to push yourself because that's what it is. That's all it takes, frankly. And once you do that, and the third time you do that, and the fifth time you do that, the rest of it is, irrelevant. Trust me. Just do it.
Absolutely.
Silvery uses another substance to help him through bad times. But I don't think we should.
Yeah.
Not correct to endorse these things.
Yeah.
Sylvie, should we do one more?
Absolutely. This last one
Yeah.
comes in from Shtick as SCHTICK.
Why do
That's
you?
the
Why
handle.
bother?
Shtick. I know. Just
Really?
Shtick. Okay.
Uh,
So Shtick has asked if Cyrus and the guest were to consider buying a property in South Mumbai, which area would it be? He says, for me, it's Kolaba. He says.
I
So where
agree.
would you like to buy?
Absolutely spot on. And Raëll's a Kolabian all her life.
Yes.
100% Kolaba. Definitely not Malba Hill Walkeshwar. Definitely not.
Okay.
I want to run away from these damn ministers. I hate
So
them all. They drive me nuts with their bodyguards and entourage. It's just become,
yeah.
it's scummed up the place. That's the right word. So
How
Kolaba
about we
for sure. The
expand the question a
Cosmo,
little bit?
yeah.
If you expand the question a little bit, make it all of Bombay. Where in all of Bombay?
Bandra.
Don't not
Bandra
South.
West.
Okay. Bandra
Bandra
West.
West, 100.
Yes.
Who wouldn't say
Bandra West is
Bandra
great.
West? Only a mad
I
person won't
know.
say Bandra West. I mean,
I
there's no
know. I know.
question. You want hip, you want cosmopolitan, you want normal people, you want progressive
Yeah.
people, you want movers and shakers, and you
Bandra
want
West.
lots of
All right.
ladies. All
Correct.
good. Okay.
Yes.
So, but Raëll, you want to give us a
Ral,
different
ma'am?
spin? Because I think you did say
I would
Nalasopara.
agree. I would agree. But the only thing is that the traffic is horrendous in Bangalore. It really is.
Yes.
I mean, we went
But
there the
that's,
other day for the
where
book
is it
launch
good?
and we were,
Yeah.
Where is it good?
Huh?
Where is it good?
No,
Where
no.
do you
This
have
is
good
like
Navi
another
Mumbai
world
side.
altogether. It's another world. It's absolutely
Rishi,
another world of
Rishi
traffic.
comes from Panvel, and Panvel sucks. There's no
Yeah.
escape.
Rishi is our sound engineer.
A
Yes.
sound guy, he comes to Panvel every day per chap, all that distance, but it sucks. The whole drive sucks. Everything
Yeah.
sucks.
But again, like Navi Mumbai and all
So then
are very
Kulaba,
peaceful,
Kulaba.
great properties and all in Navi Mumbai side, but again, too far removed. It'll take another 10, 12 years for all
No,
the
so
amenities here to reach
it's like
there, that kind
Powai.
of thing.
So when I went to Powai 2, 3 times last year, it was pretty good in the sense, but as long as you
Pretty
work
great.
there. If I
Yeah.
have to go from and to, then it's a waste of time, honestly.
Yeah.
So you should
True.
leave Powai
True.
now because they're making you go every day. It's exploitation. A young
Or
man
I
like you
should make
every
sure
day.
that IVM podcast's headquarter is in Powai, right? That's
Or
the
you
other
work
option.
from home, bro. Work from
I've been
home.
saying that the entire time. Nobody listens to me about working from home. Damn it.
We are with you. We'll stand by
Okay.
you, sir.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. All right.
Raëll,
That's
so
all the
no, but
questions.
Raël has not answered her best place. The last bit,
Yeah.
1 minute more. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. So South Bombay, you've said Kolaba.
He's saying
Yes.
anywhere. Sylvie
If
saying
all of Bombay,
anywhere
if you could
in
expand that
yeah,
to all of Bombay,
yeah.
where would you like to stay in Bombay?
All of Bombay, I would really say Kulaba. It has, and I would say Apollo Bandar because you have the sea, you have everything at your disposal. Kulaba is the most, what can I say? Also cosmopolitan. You get
It is
everything
cosmopolitan.
here.
Yeah.
Lots of
You don't
food,
have to step
bro.
out. It's
Yeah.
like a
Sylvie,
gated
Great answer.
community. Everything is available. Huh?
you go for a walk, it's like Madrid or something. You can just eat anywhere. Left, right. There's food. So if you're a
Yeah.
food person, it's honestly and cheap clothes also, which is not for Raël, but for people like me. Not that I buy my own clothes. That's another story. Yeah. So Kolaba, you wouldn't go Bandra, Raël. Bandra is so buzzy. When you go there, you feel like you're left
Bandra, I just can't handle the traffic because we go there. We have all our rehearsals there, right? At Bandra,
Yeah.
at just near
No, you're talking about
Leelavati.
what traffic? Traffic in Bandra, traffic going to Bandra is different. I'm talking if
No,
you live in
traffic
Bandra.
in Bandra, in
Oh,
Bandra. Going to Bandra is easy because you got the sea link, everything is quick. And once you get past that one junction, you're kind of messed up.
Have you ever traveled by rickshaw, Raël, in your life?
Absolutely, stop it.
Wow.
Have you?
He's saying, wow.
Have you?
Have you, Cyrus? Have you really, Cyrus?
I'll slap you. I've had to.
All lies.
How many
All
times?
lies.
I must have traveled in 2018-19 also for sure. We were rushing from some place to
Don't
another.
lie,
There's
Sai.
no option. Baba, please.
Yeah.
Every time I travel
Every
by rickshaw,
5 minutes you call.
my organs get
Yeah,
shifted.
I don't believe you, Cyrus. I'm with ma'am.
I don't believe
You won't
you. I'm so
believe
sorry.
Yeah.
in the pandemic, life was so bad for many artists. I took a rickshaw in between the two pandemics, and you won't believe the driver turned out to be Kunal.
Why?
Kidding.
Poor guy. Poor guy is not even here to defend himself. Just everything. Yeah.
I just want to bug guys.
Crazy, crazy.
I can go on till she cracks. All right, so
Yeah.
it's one quick as we end about the workshops. Where are they? What is the link? How do you join?
Right. So we have Act on Stage where you get to actually perform on stage at the end of our course. It's a great thing with sets, lights, costumes, props, the works. You can just go to aceproductions.in. It's all there. We have another speech and drama workshop that's on, which is different. And we have our little actors club for the smallies that is really, really special for them. We've had a great time with it. And hopefully our senior citizens one should come up soon.
And Raëll, sorry, serious question to end the show. If you're a midget and an actor, do you join Little Actors Club with the kids, or do you go to the adult thing because you're little, but you're still an
I think we
adult?
can cut this part out, ma'am. You don't have to answer that. We just cut this part out. It's fine.
But it's confusing.
You can't do this. That's politically incorrect. There are no such words as midget.
There are lots of actors who are very short. Then where do they go, for example?
They go into the big actors club.
Like ADV, and he's one of our best actors. Ajay, you want to see the book? Shall I show you the book?
Yeah, show us the book.
Yes, ma'am.
Show us yeah.
Just in case you want to keep it in the frame.
Let me hijack your mind.
There
My
you go.
Raëll Padamsee.
Yeah.
Excellent. Her team, the cinematographer quickly made sure we zoomed in. Okay, Raëll, this has been excellent. Great. We both will join Little Actors Club. Is there anything in Powai? I don't think you're in Powai.
Yes. We have a
You're
lot
in
of
Powai?
centers in Powai.
Then can
There
he
are
be an
3
instructor?
centers in Powai.
He can make some pocket money. Can he be in Silvery be an instructor?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
He must be an
He's very
instructor.
good with kids. He's very good with people. He's a people guy.
I am
So I think
actually
he's the
good with
right guy.
kids. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would love to take you
Lovely.
up
So
on
we
that,
have
ma'am.
3
Yeah, yeah.
centers. You must come and visit us. Even if you can't do our workshop, you must come and visit
Done.
us. Yeah.
Done. I'll be there. Yes.
Right.
Great.
All right.
Looking
That's
forward.
the show.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thanks a
absolutely.
mil,
Sorry.
guys. Sounds good.
Thank you so much,
Okay,
ma'am.
right.
Lovely.
One second. Hey, Kunal, chai lana.
Bye, Sky. I'll
Bye.
talk to you on Saturday.
Okay.
Bye.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you.
5:30.